Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Jake here at Whatever. We literally talk about whatever, and today is going to be another update. I love astronomy. I hope you do too. I'm going to get to the dew. I know I've seen a lot of comments on this, especially the dews videos. People love this guy. He's great. Go check him out if you haven't. I've been watching some of his other videos here and there, but I don't want to spoil it because I want to keep reacting to it because he's a lot of fun. So I'm going to be getting to most of those. I've written them all down. I've taken notes. So if you're one of the people that has suggested it and I haven't done it yet, I'm going to get to it. I promise you that. And today's just going to be from Space Zone. Go check them out too because they have some really cool updates on space if you like that. NASA just announced terrifying warning about the Betelgeuse explosion. Now, Betelgeuse, if you know anything about astronomy and space, is 650 light years away. That means that if you're traveling at the speed of light, it's going to still take you 650 years to get there. Yeah, kind of crazy. But so it's like the light that you're seeing now is a glimpse of the past. But it's still kind of neat to figure out what these NASA scientists have gathered from observing Betelgeuse. So let's get into this.
One of the most anticipated astronomical events is the Betelgeuse supernova. On the famous shoulder of Orion, there is a red supergiant star named Betelgeuse that is nearing the end of its lifetime. One of the brightest stars in the night sky, Betelgeuse, strangely started to dim in late 2019. Since the dimming was so clear, it was even possible to see it with unaided eyes. The star's brightness decreased for several months, leading observers to worry that Betelgeuse had reached the end of its lifetime. After a few months, the red giant star's brightness returned to normal. But when researchers focused some of the most powerful telescopes on it, they were astonished to see the signs of the huge dimming.
Now, y'all think that's a supernova or maybe some sort of, I don't know if anybody's into this, but some sort of aliens maybe have created a Dyson sphere to harness that star's energy. If you've heard of a Dyson sphere, I don't know. That's like some type 1 or 2 civilization stuff, like Michio Kaku talks about. I think he's an astrophysicist, but I've seen some of his talks and interviews. Is pretty interesting stuff. Anyway, I'm always wary of that because I've been down some weird rabbit holes concerning aliens and all that stuff.
The star is on the verge of exploding as it approaches the end of its existence. Join us today as we talk about when, why, and whether a Betelgeuse supernova might be disastrous for Earth. Orion, the hunter's top right shoulder, is home to the spectacular ruby-red brilliant star known as Betelgeuse. It's often referred to as Alpha Orionis, and is the second brightest star in the constellation, after the blue supergiant Rigel. Betelgeuse is a fascinating object for star studies and observations due to its fluctuating nature and unusual name. Stars with the classification Alpha are often the brightest in their constellation, although Rigel, Orion's other great star, is brighter. Due to its name, brightness, size, and reddish colour, Betelgeuse, also known as Alpha Orionis, is one of the most well-known stars. Betelgeuse is the 10th brightest star overall and the 7th brightest star visible from the majority of North.
Let me go back real quick. I'm just gonna ask anybody that watches this in the comments section. Has anybody seen been to a place like I know I've seen pictures of it where you can see the Milky Way where it's like there's no light pollution. I know some of my friends have gone to Death Valley and seen it. I believe one of my buddies in Alaska has seen it. I can't remember exactly, but has anybody else seen that? Because I know you could see it. I don't know if you need a telescope or if you can see it like that. I don't know. I've always wanted to witness that.
Betelgeuse is the 10th brightest star overall and the 7th brightest star visible from the majority of North America, Europe, and Canada. The translation of the Arabic phrase that served as the basis for the name Betelgeuse is the armpit of the giant. Surprisingly, while they believe Betelgeuse is between 430 and 724 light years away from Earth, astronomers have not been able to pinpoint its exact distance. The brightest and closest red supergiant star to Earth is Betelgeuse, so there is no wonder why this star is important to us. In our galaxy, just 200 red supergiant stars have been found. The Betelgeuse is visible from 548 light years away, is 0.5 times larger than our Sun, and has a solar luminosity of 126,000. It is colder than our Sun, with a surface temperature of 3,600 Kelvin. Even if human eyes were capable of seeing light at all wavelengths, only around 13% of Betelgeuse's radiant energy constitutes visible
It's
light.
really nice.
The brightness of Betelgeuse would surpass that of Sirius in our night sky. The Sun's radius is around 764 times greater than that of Betelgeuse. This star may extend beyond the asteroid belt, and even Jupiter if it were to take the place of the Sun in the solar system. This implies that Earth, Mars, Mercury, and Venus would all be completely ingested. Betelgeuse, a red star, sheds about one solar mass every 10,000 years as a nebula forms around it, as the material is ejected erratically from the star in all areas. The size of this nebula is also thought to be 30 astronomical units, AU, or 30 times the Sun-Earth distance. Betelgeuse is encompassed by a cloud of material that is 250 times larger than this star. A newborn star is made up of hydrogen, which, as a result of gravity, combines at the core of the star to produce helium in a nuclear explosion. A significant amount of heat and light energy is generated during the fusion process. As it approaches the star's surface, this energy emits a photon into space. The star's principal fuel, hydrogen, runs out as it ages, and helium starts combining with carbon. Neon will ultimately react with carbon to make iron when the helium has been consumed. When this occurs, energy is not released when neon and iron fuse together. When iron begins to fuse, the star collapses in on itself, causing a supernova explosion, as there is nothing that can oppose the star's incredibly high gravity. One of nature's most powerful explosions, the supernova, can generate enough energy to illuminate 10 billion suns. Based upon where they are in the stellar evolution, stars change coloration throughout time, from the youngest, hottest blue forms to the older, cooler red types. Strangely, the Greek scientist Ptolemy, who lived from 90 to 168 AD, described Betelgeuse's colour as ruddiness. However, Chinese astronomers from 3 centuries ago noted that the star appeared yellow, possibly suggesting that Betelgeuse had previously been a yellow supergiant. Even though they are just roughly 10 million years old, larger stars typically burn up their hydrogen faster and go out of existence sooner. Without a doubt, Betelgeuse is nearing the end of its life. In contrast, our Sun, which is approximately 5 billion years old, is still in its prime. A supernova may also happen someday, since Betelgeuse is nearing the end of its existence. Nevertheless, the exact timing of Betelgeuse's supernova is up for question. The second dimming and brightening cycle, which lasts around 100 days and occurs every 5 years, is one of Betelgeuse's 2 dimming and brightening cycles. The star's outer shell is thought to expand and contract over this cycle, changing the star's diameter and average temperature as it moves through the cycle. A lot of attention was paid to Betelgeuse's erratic fading in 2019 and 2020, followed by a brief restoration to its customary brightness. According to astronomers, it could indicate that the star is going to die. Since the 1st century BC, Betelgeuse has been the focus of significant inquiry. Why, though? Did it fade abruptly and in opposition to its usual cycle? Betelgeuse has been observed travelling through the interstellar medium at a speed of 30 kilometers per second, after being evicted from its home in the Orion OB1 association, which includes the stars in Orion's belt. This accelerating star produces a bow shock that is more...
So it got ejected. So it's not even there anymore. Apparently it was there. Is that what they're saying? I think that's what he just said.
more than 4 light years wide. It is difficult to calculate the distances to red supergiant stars like Betelgeuse in astronomy. For a variety of reasons, it has been challenging to determine Betelgeuse's real diameter. Being a pulsing star, Betelgeuse's diameter changes over time. Because of the limb darkening and the subsequent colour changes in its optical emissions, the star lacks a clearly defined edge. Determining Betelgeuse's photosphere is difficult due to the circumstellar envelope, CSE, which is made up of debris ejected from the star and emits and absorbs light. Comparing observations is challenging, since the star's apparent size varies depending on the wavelength chosen. Measurements can be carried out at different wavelengths within the electromagnetic spectrum, and reported diameters can vary by up to 30% to 35%. The European Southern Observatory published images taken by the ground-based Very Large Telescope Interferometer, VLTI, in June 2009 that showed a gigantic gas plume extending 30 AU from the star into the surrounding atmosphere. This mass ejection was one of several that took place in Betelgeuse's atmosphere, and its size matched the distance between the Sun and Neptune. According to astronomers, at least 6 shells are circling Betelgeuse. If the enigma of mass loss during the last stages of a star's existence could be resolved, it could be feasible to determine the reason for these stellar giants' sad deaths. Questions have been raised regarding the intricate dynamics of Betelgeuse's extensive atmosphere.
I mean, he said there's sad deaths. I'm glad it's not near us. It wouldn't be sad then. You know what I'm talking about? Like, that would do. Yeah.
In addition to the star's diameter, red supergiants are crucial in the recycling of matter that creates galaxies, although it is unknown how mass is lost. Because of developments in the interferometric techniques, astronomers could be close to solving this problem. Hubble and other telescopes were utilized by astronomers to discover that the star discarded a sizable piece of its visible surface in 2019 and produced a major surface mass ejection, SME, a phenomenon that had never been seen before in the behavior of a star. Coronal mass ejection, a phenomenon that occurs often on our Sun, is the process by which pieces of its thin outer atmosphere, the corona, are ejected, CME. 400 billion times more mass than a typical coronal mass ejection was emitted during the Betelgeuse surface mass ejection. This explains why Betelgeuse began to decrease drastically in October 2019, and by mid-February 2020 had lost around 3 times as much brightness, from magnitude 0.5 to magnitude 1.7. By February the 17th, 2020, Betelgeuse's brightness had been stable for more than 10 days, and the star had started to brighten once more. However, Betelgeuse appeared to have completely ceased dimming 5 days later, thereby concluding the dimming episode. On February the 24th, 2020, there were no discernible changes in the infrared. Therefore, the recent visual fading appeared to be unrelated to the approaching core collapse. Another study that day found that the star's dimming...
Yeah, I was about to say, because, like I said, towards the beginning of the video-ish, it's 650 light years away. Maybe it was so bright because it was already, like, exploding, and we're just seeing the after effects of it, like, 650 years later. But they're saying that has nothing to do with it, so I don't know.
Was most likely brought on by a layer of circumstellar dust, with a sizable grain occluding the star. The study excludes dust absorption as a significant factor, since it uses data at sub-millimeter wavelengths. However, the fading appears to have been caused by enormous star spots. Upon closer inspection, it became clear that Betelgeuse's brilliance had significantly increased. Researchers found a second dust cloud coming from Betelgeuse on October the 30th, 2020, and they related it to the star's recent, noticeably reduced brightness. It was suggested in June of last year that a cold area on its photosphere may be the source of the dust, and in August, a second independent examination supported the original hypothesis. The gas that the star released as it cooled is thought to have formed the dust. Research by the Hubble Space Telescope in 2022 suggests that a surface mass ejection may have been the reason for the dust. Millions of kilometers away, the material was ejected from the star's surface, where it cooled and compacted to become the star's fading dust. The star was hidden from observers on Earth by the photosphere, which was many times as heavy as our moon. The fading, which began in late 2019 and continued for a few months, could be easily distinguished even by backyard observers who saw the star's brightness shift. The supergiant's 400-day pulsation rate has ceased, which is even more remarkable. Since almost 100 years ago, astronomers have been studying changes in Betelgeuse's surface motions and brightness variations to track this cycle. The magnitude of the blast is evident in its devastation. Astronomers' theories may now be able to account for the interruption. The photosphere is also renewing as the star steadily regains vitality. The star's normal cycle is being upset, and it is shaking within like a broken bell. These findings shed insight on how red stars age, lose mass, and finally explode as supernovae when their nuclear fusion furnaces run out of fuel. The extent of mass loss has a substantial impact on their fate. The extremely unsavoury conduct of Betelgeuse is also not a hint that the star will overnight become well known. As a result, a large loss event does not always signal an oncoming explosion. The fact that a large star surface mass ejection has never been observed before, according to scientists, suggests that there is still something happening that we do not completely comprehend. We could be able to see this unprecedented occurrence for ourselves and use Hubble to separate surface traits, like the on-the-fly detection of star formation. The NASA James Webb Telescope may be able to observe the infrared light from the ejected debris, since it is still moving away from the star. Betelgeuse may reclaim its previous ranking as the 10th brightest star in the sky, now that its fading has fully ceased. Despite being far away, Betelgeuse is one of the brightest stars in the sky, because it is nearly 100,000 times brighter than the Sun. Such brilliance has a cost. Fuel must be used quickly to keep up with Betelgeuse's immense energy.
They said 100,000 times brighter than the sun. Yeah, so if that thing was next to us, we wouldn't even be able to see. You know what I mean? If it was like, just like the next Alpha Centauri, I think that's the closest galaxy to us. Or no, Andromeda. Imagine it was Andromeda, and that's 4.5 light years or whatever it is away. That's crazy. That's, or 4.5, I don't know. I have to look that up. I don't want to give you the wrong information.
Accelerating its destruction. The star will eventually run out of all its fuel, sag under its weight, and explode into a spectacular supernova. Betelgeuse will then grow extraordinarily bright for a few weeks or months, maybe approaching full moon brightness. It will become apparent over the day. At what time will it occur? No one knows for sure when it will happen, but it most likely won't happen during our lives. It might occur right now, or in a million years. Will the Earth be destroyed by the Betelgeuse supernova? No, the Betelgeuse explosion won't negatively affect life on Earth, or even partially extinguish it, because it will take place too far away from us. Betelgeuse is more than 10 times farther away than the supernova.
They could have told us that like the beginning of the video, because it has everything to do with like the title of the video.
Supernova, which astronomers believe must be 50 light years away for one to be lethal to humans. Instead, everyone on Earth will see a breathtaking view of a stunningly dazzling star.
Oh, I guess that's the end of it. Oh, uh-oh. Anyway, there's that. It's interesting to see what they found about it, though. I mean, you know, whoever's going to see it, we're not going to see it, apparently. And it may have already happened, may not have happened. But it's pretty cool to be able, that they've been able to observe it because it's so bright. You know, it's so big. It's ejecting all that energy, you know, every year or something, I think, or however long they said. That's wild, man. That's interesting to me. I don't know if it's interesting to you. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Hopefully you learned something. I know I did. That's exciting stuff for me. But until the next one, just like I always say, just send it, man.